So listen, first it was South Korean President Yoon. Now Mr. Marcos goes to Washington, right? And in both cases, it was like, look, we're with you, but we just want to make sure that you have our backs.
Yeah, and the Biden administration is more than happy to tell them that it does, right? This is the trade-off in the region right now. You got your trade relationship with China, you got to keep that intact. And then you've got your security relationship with the United States. And if the U.S. doesn't have the same trade card to play that China has, they're more than happy to play the security card.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I look back to 2018, Malaysia, Najib was unseated during the election. And then what we saw was the root and branch questioning of the relationship, Malaysia's relationship with China. And it wasn't entirely pulling the plug, though. It was reformatting the relationship to get Malaysia the best deal, the best terms possible. I'm just wondering if it's the same with the Philippines in terms of, let me be frank about this, about the investment and the money. Yeah. You go to who has the deepest pockets, and in this region it is, like it or not, China. So is that totally closing the door on the relationship with China or no?
Although having said that, remember, Duterte, his pivot to China was based on the assumption there would be billions of dollars in Chinese investment flowing to the Philippines. Yeah. And at the end of the day, hey,
and as Victor said yesterday, not much to show for it.
Exactly. Yeah, it didn't work out. And then Indonesia took a very different approach from the Philippines, and China kind of stayed out of Indonesia's hair. It's really interesting right now. Every country, you guys mentioned, Malaysia, but, it's and the Philippines, of course, but even Vietnam, every country is sort of facing this trade-off situation where they do indeed have a large trade relationship with China. They're not going to be able to shut that door, but then you have this indisputable problem with China having decided that basically all of the South China Sea is its own. Yeah. 1,500 kilometers off the coast of southern China. I think most people don't understand that, especially people who don't live in the region. We're not talking about, just because it's called the South China Sea doesn't mean that it's near China. We're talking about territory that is far away from the coast of China. We're talking about Chinese military vessels, fishing vessels operating within the economic exclusive zones, or exclusive economic zones, I should say, of various countries, including the Philippines. Yeah. And so they've got to try this very difficult balancing act. And the U.S. is sort of a perfect sort of counterbalance to tip that side of the scale.
And I know we've been talking about this before, and that is China's not doing itself any favors, is it not, right? Because with regards to the Philippines and their position on Taiwan, we had a senior Chinese official not so long ago saying, look, guys, you better think twice about this because you've got 150,000 Filipinos in Taiwan. I mean...
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's very diplomatic.
Yeah,
right?
that wolf warrior diplomacy, it's really questionable to what extent that's helpful to China, if at all. It's almost as if the desire to exhibit assertiveness just overwhelms common sense at times. You mentioned Duterte. I mean, what a difference a president makes, right? I mean, Marcos comes in and completely 180s. On where Duterte was. China basically had the Philippines in the bag and blew it.